My name is Scott McKenzie, and I am the founder of Golden Age Companions, a home care agency based in Irvine, California. We have been in business for over 10 years and have generated over $8 million of total revenue. And I started the company when I was just 21 years old, literally working out of Starbucks. And I like to share that because if I can do it, you can too if you're committed and looking to do this. So I would like to just also introduce our home care agency blueprint program. I came up with this coaching program to help other people start their home care businesses on their own. And so without further ado, I'm going to jump in here and share the top 3 things to consider when starting up your home care business. I'm going to use Connecticut. I'm based in California, but I'm going to use Connecticut as an example. If I were to jump into Connecticut and have an agency, say, first off, I would like to look up, what the largest city is in Connecticut. And so it looks like, Bridgeport, they have a pretty large population. I say this because it's easier to have a home care business when you have a larger population, partly because there's more people that can afford the services, but then there's also people that can care for them, the clients as well. So, you have the caregivers that you've got to source, to provide the care for the people that need the care. And so a larger population is better. Now, if the population is in the millions, then it's, there's kind of like a room to go around for everybody. But then again, you're going to have competition as well. Might be a little more saturated. Something to it's just kind of basic, business practice is like, if I were to look up, home care agency, Connecticut, I can just see like what the competition is. Something to consider is like looking up the reviews. Like if there's a lot of reviews, then it means that generally I see that as there's a higher demand. If you go into an area where it's like there's really not that many reviews and it's kind of everyone has very low reviews, then there's probably a less demand for that service. So yeah, I mean, the market research is something that is important. There's all kinds of tools. You can even utilize ChatGPT. They have the plugin extension to pull up the data online of, tell me the market research in this certain area for, senior care services. Sometimes that's good to do that too. Another thing to consider is the licensing requirements. So, for example, I'm looking up here what the licensing is in Connecticut, and it looks like this is like almost like an application. And then if I jump into here, Connecticut has they have all different descriptions of there's home health, and then there's like a homemaker companion agency, hospice services, assisted living, and then private duty home care. So there are licensing requirements that are required in Connecticut. However, private duty home care, if you are not accepting insurance, meaning Medi-Cal or Medicare or Medicaid, then you do not need a license. If you're just doing private pay, which actually my agency does all private pay and long-term care. And so the barrier to entry in Connecticut is not as strong as a state that does require licensing. I know Arizona is another one of those states that does not require licensing. So that's just something to look into there. As far as like if you want to download the application, you can just go into their website and download it to start filling it out. This one you can apply online. There's a fee here. And this is something that my home care agency blueprint program actually helps with. We will help guide you through getting your license application. Depending on what package you choose, we actually have a full service option that we do it for you. And so the next thing is your legal entity. So now, as far as doing like an LLC, an S Corp, incorporation, I do have a document that is in the link in the description below that is a free giveaway on the pros and cons of LLC versus S Corp versus, say, partnership. I made that document for you guys to download so you can have that, and essentially you want to incorporate. That's also something that my program offers, is we can do this on your behalf, and that's something that you of course want to have your FEIN, do your incorporation after you research. Okay, Connecticut is where I want to go into. This is the area. Now you're looking at the licensing in that specific area, and then generally they need the EIN, so the LLC, legal business name, and then your insurances as well. Like say professional and general liability and your workers' comp insurance. Those are like the kind of core things that are generally required when jumping into this business. So the other thing to kind of like look into here is startup costs. We get this question a lot, is what are the startup costs to starting your own home care business? I made kind of like a little cheat sheet here. This is an example of what Golden Age Companions has. So like we have Dialpad, which is a VoIP. It's our phone system, business phone system. Monday.com and WellSky are kind of two in the same. Monday.com is more like a project management CRM, which isn't required. WellSky, meaning it's used to be called ClearCare. That's something that is for scheduling the caregivers, and you put the clients in there. And then Hirology is a version of a hiring platform. There's also ZipRecruiter is a big one too. So these are kind of like the rough like monthly fees for this. I'm a huge fan of Google Workspace, so that's something that I like to have Gmail, because you have the automatic login on all the different apps and everything. So I think that Gmail is worth it. In this example, Omni, that's a payment processor. OnPay is a payroll provider. There's also ADP for payroll and whatnot. The professional and general liability insurance, that generally is something that you pay for yearly, or you can divide it out monthly depending on what carrier you go with. And the way that you initiate that policy is, say when you have a team of just 2 or 3 to start when starting up your business, that's how you can initiate the policy. And if you don't have anybody yet, then you just let the insurance company know like you're just starting out, and this is an estimation of the amount of people I'm going to have. And then every, say, month, you want to update that to make sure that the head count, because they charge according to the head count of your employees. Workers' comp is generally charged a percentage of the total payroll that you have on your roster. So whatever you're processing for payroll is a percentage of that. It could range as low as 3%. I've seen it. It's as high as 12 or 13%. And then, of course, business address, that's another startup. So some states will require that you need to have your own, it cannot be a home-based office, but it has to be a business address. And you can do like a virtual or like a shared office. I know like California, they require that you must have a business address, and it has to be a physical space. It cannot be virtual or anything like that. So I break that down into 3. Home-based or virtual could be like, just merely like you rent the conference room and stuff, meet caregivers there to hire them, whatnot. Or you can have like a virtual coupled with like a shared office space as well. And then, of course, there's just a physical office space, which is a full-fledged like leased office. So that's, as far as I say, it's a few $100s a month to start. I mean, as far as like your operating expenses, as you grow, the beauty with home care is that, I simplify the business model. You have a caregiver, right, that you're placing with a family, a client that needs care, and it's your job as the agency owner, the agency operator, to match a quality caregiver with the client that needs that care. So, for example, if that caregiver has dementia experience and they have transferring experience, and you know that your client that you just got has a version of dementia, then that would be a good match. um but anyway, I that's what I've always been like super successful with my home care businesses, because we don't just place people with people. We really do our best to match the attributes of the caregiver with kind of like the attributes, or like what is needed by the families. So that's what's nice. There's no inventory. You don't have to manufacture stuff. You don't have to store anything. So that's a really nice thing about running a home care business. And then, yeah, the last thing is just as far as like your so one thing that I kind of want to like mention is our like the branding. So for Golden Age Companions, you can see like in our logo here, it's super important to have quality branding, and that is something that my team in our coaching program assists with, is the branding. And even in Golden Age, you can see that there's a subliminal right here, like the hands are kind of like holding up the tree. It's kind of like the tree of life. Green is like growth. Yellow has like means like creativity and stuff. So yeah, there's kind of subliminal messages in our logo and branding. And I feel like it's really important to have quality branding. And so that's, those are like the three biggest things that I would say on looking to start your own home care business. The other thing is, just tap into what your resources are. So if you know many people, if you're an RN, or if you work in the healthcare space and you know people that you're constantly around people that are needing care, or you're hearing out people that might need their own, home care at home, that could be your immediate networking right there. So that's kind of like eliminating your barrier to entering the business. Now at that point, it's just setting up the entity, setting up the agency, getting your license if you need it, stuff like that, and then you'll be able to be off and running. Once we get your name and your branding and everything out there, people hear about you. And then when you get that first client, it's of course like there's a whole process on setting up, hiring the caregivers and whatnot. But I just want to emphasize that I started Golden Age Companions literally. I was working at Starbucks and I had a logo on the side of my car, and that's literally, I was pulling up at the store to get my weekly tips. This was back when I was 21 years old. And yeah, the person was saying, somebody came out one of the shops and said, "Oh, is this your business?" And I got talking to her, and she said, "Well, I would love an in-home assessment for my mom." And I ended up going and doing that assessment, meeting with the family, talking with her, getting basically her needs of what the schedule is. And then I ended up taking those needs of, I know at the time she needed like 3 days a week for, it was like 4-hour shifts in the afternoon. So I knew, okay, I've got to match a right caregiver that, number one, is available for those 3 shifts, and 2, can provide that companion care. It was strictly companion care, so there's no bathing or transferring or any heavy duty stuff. So I just needed a great caregiver with a good personality to be with that person. And I interviewed, hired the caregiver, and then I brought them over, introduced them to the family, and then they were scheduled. And then at that point, it's just, the hourly rate I was charging and paying the caregiver, I was getting the difference of that. And it was almost like passive income at that point, because once it's set up around the schedule and the family's happy, the caregiver's happy, it's just monitoring them, throughout, doing check-ins, going by the home, and just making sure everything is working well. They're happy with each other, and it just works out great. So So yeah, that's what I wanted to cover today in this video, and thank you for being here. Please continue to stick around. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos and sharing as much knowledge of my over decade of experience of being in this industry. And also, in the link below the description here, you will see there's my Calendly link there. So for my program Home Care Agency Blueprint, you can book a call directly with me, and I can talk about working with you on starting and running your own home care agency. So we have different packages available, and I'd be more than happy to talk to you about that. Thanks so much.